Jamie here. Jamie here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding Wednesday, July 23rd, 9:03 a.m. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures in the green. We had some news yesterday evening, a trade deal with the US and Japan. Rumor, it was back and forth, some threats, but then it finally got hashed out. 15% on most stuff, and it's like you see with the reaction in the Asian markets overnight, and especially with the Nikkei up whatever it was 3.5%. You can see that was more like a relief rally, right? That hey, maybe not only is it the worst case scenario has been removed, but maybe this works out in a positive fashion. Who knows? You saw the auto names rallying, and I think some of the reason auto names are rallying too is the possible carry through that maybe the U.S. and Canada and U.S. and Mexico will work out the tariffs kind of like at the same level. We'll see how that all works out. But needless to say, yesterday morning, right after the open, markets were at highs, and boom, we had a quick 20-minute drop. And it's funny, the market's trading range yesterday was about 0.5%, similar to the trading range on Monday. But because of the quick move on yesterday, it felt like a more bumpy session. Not only that, the Nasdaq sold off chip names, Nvidia, all those names are in the red. So profit taking, or is it the start of the big pull that everybody has been saying since some have been saying since April, right? So I'm still like I would say I wouldn't say I'm bearish per se at all, right? But I'm cautious, right? So you can't be naive enough to think that the market can't fall at some point, right? And when it happens, probably gonna be substantial, 1.5%, 2%, and it'll happen probably in a gap down, right? Or we'll have a red afternoon and then follow through overnight. That's kind of like the scenario I think plays out, but we'll have to see. I don't know what the catalyst will be, and the scary part would be one with no catalyst, right? So anyway, I keep talking about this amount of days over the 20-day moving average for the S&P, and sure enough, context is always important, right? So the chart I was posting, or at least the graph, the graph and the chart I was posting was this amount of days over the 50-day over the S&P over the 20-day moving average for 59 days, and now it's 60 days, and then performance. But the performance here was just over a week's time frame, right? So if you looked at that, not good performance, and we're almost getting through the week because this was posted on Monday, so we have 2 days in already. But then you have this, and you pull this back, and this is the amount of times. I think it's 8 times since no 4 times. Is it 4 times? 1, 2. Why am I? The amount of times the S&P is traded over its 20-day movement, 60 days, and these are instances, and then you look, and it's like 100% of the time the S&P is higher in 3 months, right? And on an average gain 5%. So pretty remarkable historicals, right? I mean, if you're a betting person and you can get 100% odds on something, I mean that's pretty good, and it's a decent sample size. It's not like n equals 2 or n equals 7, or well, it's close enough, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 instances. So this would be 9. Nothing's ever certain, right? At some point, someone's going to break the streak. That streaks are meant to be broken. So, but I always like to look at some of these things, and also, of course, a lot of that's a function of the market, right? The market tends to head higher over time, just how it is. All right, so that's kind of the historical. You look at the individual market too. I was watching that pull at the open yesterday. I almost got some Broadcom put hedges, right? Also I was looking at AMD and the SQQ calls. I think it was the 20 strikes I was looking at, or the 1950s. Uh, I kind of like downgraded my range, right? So 621 to 636 on the SPY, 636. And then if we do get some kind of pull, some shenanigans, some headlines, even if it's just selling for no other reason, people take profits, 626 would be kind of the line in the sand. And then I would start looking to get some put hedges. Also, yields dipped a little bit yesterday, so hopefully there's some continuation, although yields a little higher. And just want to see the dollar firm up. And also of note that the small caps are outperformed, up about 0.8% compared to the S&P just barely squeezing out a gain. So that's overall markets. Now some individual names. This meme situation is heating up, or who knows, maybe it's cooling down. So open had that big rally to start the week, and then that is kind of I wouldn't say falling from grace because it's still substantially higher than where it was a week ago, but it's down here at 259, it's 288. It was all the way up to near $5, and now you see some other names, and it's like people are searching for the next oversold name that deserves a higher valuation. I guess that's how you, in my opinion, how you would call those names, right? The donuts, the Beyond Meats, the Rocket, and Rocket's been up already, so it's not like that one's oversold. GoPro, right? Well, brings me back to those days. Gosh, I remember GoPro was a hot name back in the day, and that one has fallen from grace. GoPro's kind of like, I remember being negative somewhat on Garmin because you thought that, hey, with phones having GPSs, right? And this is back in the day, you're like, why would you need a Garmin, right? Back in the day, everybody had their little slap-on huge GPS that cost $200 in the car, and look, you look cool. Make a left turn. You would have it in the voice of Yoda, you know. Uh, yes, my GPS tells me my turns in Darth Vader's voice. You know, it was cool stuff. Or was it Samuel L. Jackson? I forget. But anyway, so the bear case on that was like, okay, well, you don't need these devices. But then Garmin was able to innovate, and they always had the Mariner side of it, right? The people still have those in their boats. You still need, and then they went to kind of like a service platform. So anyway, so not saying that translates to GoPro, but I don't have enough. I don't want to be in too much at any given time, especially names I don't know like the back of my hand. So uh, one for another day. But brings me to Card Lakes. You know, I did my rant yesterday afternoon, just kind of giving a little bit of insights here, and then boom, in the after hours session, it closed under $3, 285, and then in the after hours session about 520 was at $3.77. So I'm not sure if it's going to rekindle and catch fire again here at the open. I mean, it could be a name, it could be back under, it could be bet 250 today, it could be $5 today. I don't know. To me, the good thing about Carlis that's a little different than some of these names is like maybe it has sticking power. If you look at the story, two trades less than 1 times revenues, 15% short interest, and it's a good story in a niche sector. Um, so if there, worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that this name gets brought to the attention of people who did not know what it did and its prospects and its possible growth potential. That's one. And two, it continues to catch fire and rallies. So, I have the August strikes. I did some Octobers too. I'll probably, if it gaps and runs here this morning, I'm going to close the August strikes just to take some of the short-term volatility risk off, hold the October strikes, and I might look for some more calls before premiums get nuts. If it does get nuts, right? There's some lessons you'll learn over time, especially on names that can catch fire, is that trying to trade it after it's catch fire, it's almost like even if it rallies higher after it catches fire, it's not as rewarding because the premiums are all elevated. So not only is it riskier to get in, your reward stinks, right? And especially on volatile names, the premiums come out a heck of a lot quicker than they go in. So better always to be before the herd, right? So, all right, that's Cardlytics. RH, what a move yesterday. I mean, it was rallying in the morning, and it almost was like it seemed like someone who's short names was covering, and maybe there's a basket of names they're in, and they're getting squeezed. And then you see RH, which I think should be higher anyway, but it seemed like there was a little more sympathy move in regards to other names that are shorted, and boom, it started to rally. It was like 206. I got the 225s. And I was saying on the rant yesterday, it's like, and I say it a lot with RH, it's like you don't need RH to move too much for the premiums to go bonkers. That's typically what they're expensive, but they get a heck of a lot more expensive as it goes up. So broke over 210, locked some in to cover some costs for nearly 100%, held the rest. It dropped under 210 in the afternoon, like after the noon hour, and then boom, bounced, closed pretty much at the highs of the day, and it's gapping here this morning. I don't know if some of it's on the China deal, if that just removes some black clouds around the Asia and market as a whole, but I'll take it. Wayfair's up this morning on an upgrade too. So I think it trades north of 220 today, if not higher, and then 225 plus. So I'll probably lock a couple. I don't have too many, but I'll lock some more in today just to get some profits, right? Nice, always to get some profits. And I'll hold the freebies for the possible moonshot for some nice multi-bags. Also, it's a tight Bollinger Band setup. Bollinger Band's 214. It's gapping here above 214. So if it holds that, could see some follow through. So that's RH. Edit day two of its rally, or actually day three of its rally, up another 6% yesterday. It's like you can have a basket of these meme names or possibly oversold names that are set to rally. 330 is the big spot from February, and Edit broke and closed above that yesterday. Could be one of those names again. It gets some mojo. You had that Verve acquisition from LLY for 1.3 billion. Edit's, is it three? It might have hit 300 billion market cap. I could check right now. I don't think it did. Let's see. Edit is 1 point. Come on. $281 million market cap. $281 million market cap, no debt, 230 million in cash. So anyway, I think it could trade north of 5 in the coming weeks and months. If it rallies again today, my January strikes are close to a double, so I'll close some out to cover costs for 100% when it gets there. Ride the rest. That's Edit. VKTX earnings day. I mean, what else to say on that? Unfortunately, the premiums came out of August strikes. I don't know if that's folks are possibly going further out because the risk of the data not coming out for August expiration. That maybe that's some of it, but there's nearly a 12% implied move on the weekly strikes on VKTX. So some update is probably anticipated. They've had some updates on studies and some other information that has sparked the stock before for earnings. So I wouldn't surprise to see some kind of update. I just hope there's no surprise on the oral data where they say, oh, it's not coming out till the fourth quarter or something to that effect, right? So hopefully that's not the case, but it will be interesting after the close. And again, VKTX, this is kind of, to me, the oral data is like the be all end all for it, right? At least for how I'm going to trade it. It'll be on my do not trade list for a while, if not forever, if it can't get some decent data, right? And I don't even think decent data is going to work. It's got to be it's got to have continued best in class data. So that's that. SERV Robotics down 5% yesterday. Actually, I have the wrong slide up here. Back to its bounced off its 200-day moving average. It's back over $11 here today. So nice bounce. Still like this one at some point. It's like a ticking time bomb. I think the FOMO kicks in just like it did with JOBY. Lemonade back to life. I mean, knock on wood here. Looks like it's going to break over 42 here in the morning. Still think this trade is north of 45 into the end of the week. Big day here today. Probably determine if that happens. And then JOBY, right? I'm almost green at the end of the day. And I have the wrong chart here. I think this is yesterday's chart. But dipped at the open, sold off. You had that price target adjustment, right? I mean, what analyst is that? Is it the... I don't even know if I have this up here. Of course I don't. Oh, the Deutsche Bank, right? So just funny stuff. Let's see. After the companies, I'm grateful POTUS for continuing to champion US. He just the CEO of JOBY just tweeted, so I'll have to read that later. But interesting enough, right? You have that analyst upgrading the price, raising the price target from 46 and keeping their sell or underperform rating, right? And then stock sold off, was down, was in the fives, 15s for a while, right? Yeah, 1551. Why am I thinking? Okay. And then bounced it, almost went into the green in the afternoon, and boom, gapping again this morning, hit 1750 in the pre-market. I'll continue to be patient, adding more strikes. It's like, you look at some of the names, and I'm like, is all the meat been eaten off the JOBY bones, right? Is there, how much more upside and potential is there on the call side? I think there is, right? And I'll continue to hold the last of my October strikes. Doesn't make sense to just kind of like trade this chop. So maybe if there's a break over its all-time highs, I think that's 1850. Maybe I'll get some spec calls, but still bullish the name. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.